Hi, I'm Norm Westby, the Happy Cooker, and am I happy today?
Are you ever?
I sure am.
I'm happy you're alive.
I'm happy I'm here. This is my wife Joy, and she's happy. And we are very, very happy to have our special guest today, Tony Shipshock, who is the head pastry chef
and sous chef.
And sous chef.
Right.
Okay.
At Murray's restaurant in Minneapolis, downtown Minneapolis.
Now, what if I'm not happy?
You better be happy.
You gotta be happy.
Do I need to get some more wine then? Does that make do I have to get happy?
That'll make you
that'll
happy.
All right.
That'll help.
We can arrange that.
The
we
wine
can
will pour freely.
Yes.
Tony, we're glad that you made the trek.
I'm
from
glad to be here.
Minneapolis
Glad
up
to be here.
And you got a special feature here right away that you can talk about.
Right.
But before that, tell us a little bit about how you became a chef and what you did to get there. And
Well, actually, I've been at Murray's for about 14 months, and previous to that, I went to culinary school for about 2 years.
Where was that?
That was actually in Minneapolis as well.
Oh, okay.
So it was like about, like I said, about a 2-year course. Learned all different aspects of being a chef, and then like I said, then I started at Murray's. That actually was my first job, and you know, the thing about Murray's, it's one of the few independently owned restaurants that are left in Minneapolis. So much now we see chain restaurants, and so Murray's has been around since, gosh, actually probably since the late 30s.
Wow.
Under a different name, and it's always been in the Murray's family.
it's really
And
a landmark in
It's
the
a
city.
landmark. It's an institution. In fact, this year we were voted by Minneapolis St. Paul magazine as the #1 restaurant as an institution.
Wow.
So we're kind of proud of that accomplishment. Like I said, we've been at our present location since 1946. We've been there about 55 years, and like I said, we're known for our steaks, and that's what people come there for, our steaks. They also come there. We're also known for our garlic toast that we have. That people kind
I
of
remember that well.
Yeah, and then also we do pretzels there too. And interesting thing about our pretzels is that we used to have a 80-year-old German baker who came in, and it's an authentic German recipe, and that's what he's passed down. And all our pretzels are hand rolled, and it's actually quite the thing. So it's something that kind of.
This is located right downtown Minneapolis.
Right downtown on 6th and Hennepin. Yeah, if you're familiar with where the Target Center is, it's about a block and a half east of that. What we're known for, that we sell the most of, is actually our silver butter knife steak, and that is a center cut sirloin, and it's prime grade. And I'll talk a little about beef grading in a second. So that's our sirloin, and then right after that we have our chateau, which is from the tenderloin, and that's for two. These both are for 2 people. And then if you have 3 of you and you want the best of both worlds, you get our golden porterhouse for 3 people, and
Now,
that's 64 ounces right there.
And that's cooked like that, right?
It is
And then
cooked
it's
just
cut
like
at the,
that.
and
Yes.
carved at the table.
These 3 steaks are cooked just like this, and then the waiter or waitress brings them out to your table, carves them table side. So that's kind of a neat little feature that we have there. And one thing we want to talk a little bit right now about is with grading with beef. Now this is prime, and less than 4% of all beef is graded as prime. And the problem that maybe people have in getting prime is that a lot of the finer steakhouses like Murray's, snatch up all the prime, and so when you usually go to a grocery store, you might be able to get select or choice. That's part of the
You'll
grades
never find prime in a grocery store, I don't think.
A little bit. They're starting a little bit, but not as much as you'd like to. And but you always can call Murray's, and we always ship out steaks. If you want to call and order steaks, we can ship them to you. That's a service that we do offer to people. Now, when we're looking at prime steaks, what we're going to look for is marble to muscle ratio. Now, if we look here, we can see the flecking of the fat in the beef, and when you have a lot of fat, that's flavor, and that's where we get the prime grading. Also, with prime, it also has to deals with the age of the cattle. Any prime cattle only can be between the ages of 9 and 30 months. Anything above 30 months probably won't get a prime grade. So that's what you look for when we're looking at prime, is the amount of fat to muscle ratio. Now, obviously the meat is just one aspect of it, We also have seasonings that we deal with. And
Let's talk about those.
yeah, let's talk a little about.
Now you've got a steak cooking on the grill.
Right,
back here.
right. Yes, I do.
And
What we usually do is actually this we have this cut of beef grilling back there, and this is it's a tenderloin. It's a bone-in tenderloin, so that would actually be this part of. Straighten out right away. This part right here of the porterhouse. So that's what we have going back here. Now this normally isn't a item on our menu that we have a lot of the time, but we run it during the weekends as a special. So we'll get in 2-3 dozen for the weekend and sell it as a special. And that's what we have going on in the grill in the back here. Nice brand new grill that we have.
And you're breaking it in.
And I'm breaking it in, so I'm kind of happy about that. But what we want to talk about though is the Murry seasoning that we have, and it's again it's a family secret that's been around about 55 years. I don't know what's in it. I think
you don't even know what's in it.
I know what some of the stuff is in it. I think something from outer space fell like 30-40 years ago. I think they put it in there, and I think it's still going. So, but it's
they make that.
We make that in house. Actually,
who makes it? If you don't know what it is.
The president and our president and general manager, who is the grandson of the original owner of Murry's.
Okay.
So basically, right now they're into the third generation of family that's running the restaurant. So he has the recipe. He mixes it up, and we just put it on.
He doesn't share that with the rest of the chefs.
No, it's a little secretive. There's a few secret ingredients that he doesn't, and it's kind of coveted. So, all
right.
Like I said, it's something that's kind of special.
I won't press you, but
because I don't know. That's the problem. But like, if you were to go to your grocery store and we're gonna look and see what's comparable to this, like if you were to do like a Lowry seasoning salt. I mean, basically, it's like a dry rub. It's a seasoning that we do. Now, with any rubs or seasoning, and obviously we have salt. And I'd like to talk a little bit about salts, because maybe some people don't know really the difference in the different types of salt that we have. Now, the normal salt that most people are familiar with is the regular Morton's table salt,
iodized salt.
Right. Now, this kind of salt is mined from the ground. It's purified with water, and then there's like chemicals added, like anti-caking chemicals that make it so it doesn't glop together.
Okay.
And it kind of takes away a little bit from the taste. So, I mean, if you're a salt connoisseur, you probably would stay away from this. But a lot of people, this is all they use. They really don't know the difference between salts. But if you'd like to expand your horizons a little bit, you could try a kosher salt, which is still mined from the ground. It's purified, but they don't add any additives to it. And it's a little bit coarser,
I can see,
than your regular table salt. And this is basically a lot what we use in the restaurant for our salt, is kosher salt. Then a little bit up from that is sea salt. Now this is made by taking large amounts of salt water, evaporating the water, and again, cleaning it a little bit with no additives, no anti-caking things, nothing like that. And you really get a nice smooth flavor, nice texture actually with a sea salt. This is my personal preference. Is I use sea salt personally.
Okay.
I don't use any of these. And I think it's, for an extra little bit of money, I think it's actually worth it to actually try and see what it's like. Now, what we usually do with salt or seasoning, things like that, we can use those for brines or dry rubs. And if you're not familiar with what a brine is, it's basically a salt, sugar, and water mixture. And really the purpose of a brine is what happens is with, let's say you have poultry or chicken or any other type of poultry, what it does is the brine will open up, the sugar opens up the cell structures, the salt pulls out the moisture, and it forms actually a lactic acid, which helps prevent spoilage. So not only does it, with the salt and sugar, not only does it flavor it, but also protects it from harmful bacteria. And so at the restaurant, we actually do all our chickens, we actually brine them 24 hours before we actually cook them.
Really?
Yep. And now the dry rub, like what this is basically the same thing, just without any water. A dry rub, you can just have kosher salt, a little bit of sugar, maybe some juniper berries, some thyme sprigs, and you can just any types of meat that you have, you can just kind of pat it on there and just kind of let it sit there.
How about this one?
Well, like I said,
Can we
what we
check
did
it?
is, yeah, actually what we did is we had this cut right here back on the grill, and we seasoned it with a little bit of Murray salt. And we see we kind of have it on the grill here. We kind of put it on a little bit ago. And we can see that the, actually the,
It's looking
the
nice.
seasoning actually kind of forms a little bit of a crust on there that kind of helps seal in everything. So we see it's
Seals in the juice, so it cooks in its own juices.
yeah, a little bit. So now here we're grilling the steak, which means that the heat is from the bottom, the heat source from the bottom.
Right.
Typically at the restaurant we broil ours, which means the heat comes from the top.
From the top.
Now with our we'll close this back here and finish cooking that. Now with these two, with all our bigger steaks like this, we actually have a custom-made box that.
Now this steak this porterhouse is cooked just as we see it here.
Just as we see it.
And that serves what, 3 or 4 people?
That serves, yeah, this serves 3 people, and then these two would serve 2. Like I said, with these steaks right here, we actually have our own custom box that we had built that actually has heat on from all 4 sides. So we put the steaks in the middle. We got heat this way, and from the bottom, and so it cooks it all the way. So it actually gives it it's a really nice way of cooking them. Because if you were to do this on a grill or in a broiler, by the time the heat would penetrate through, you'd probably have a charred mess.
Right.
So that kind of makes it so it has a good flavor, good color, and you can get the right temperature on it. So now, for those who aren't familiar with these different cuts of meat and actually where they come from on the animal, these all cuts come from what's called the short loin. And basically, if normal is a cow.
Yeah. Use me as an example.
If normal is a cow, it would be right here, right above your butt, I guess. And the tenderloin is right underneath the spine here, and then the sirloin comes out here. So that's the area of the cow that comes from, and it's just a short area about this much. So
right.
It like I said, it's the tenderest part. This is, like I said, it's a muscle that's hardly ever used, and that's why it is so tender. So it depends if you like really tender cuts of meat, I would go for this. If you really like a little bit of flavor, a little coating mouthfeel, then I would go with the sirloin.
Okay.
So I think
we're going to be sampling that steak here, Tony, and we just about run out of time for this segment. But Tony's going to be with us to do a couple more shows, so we appreciate you coming up from Minneapolis to do that with us.